Um, I still don't quite understand going from level 3 to level 4, from the Great Liberation to the falling from grace. Um, I guess Great Liberation means what people usually talk about as enlightenment. Or
Yes, yes.
what I don't understand. What was your experience of it? Were you like in bliss for a few years and then you got unhappy again, or
Yeah,
was
kind
it
of.
a conceptual
A
change?
kind of thing like that. Let me say it in 2 or 3 different ways. You know, we have the koan where a monk comes to Joshu's monastery, and the monk says, what can you do for me? What can you offer me? And Joshu says, well, have you eaten yet? And the monk says, yes, I have. And Joshu says, then wash your bowls. So that is, Joshu's trying to help him move from 3 to 4. So what he's saying there is, yes, I have had that insight, that enlightenment, that realization. I have eaten. I'm full. So Joshu says, okay, now clean up. Let it go. So what the experience was for me was, for many, many years, there was an experience of everything was manifesting absolutely perfectly at every moment. And what the ego was doing, my ego was doing, was saying somehow I'm above the karmic law of cause and effect. That everything I do is the Dharma. And that allowed me to create some heavy karma for myself and to affect others in a way that, you know, I didn't really see until that experience of falling back into the human realm, for me personally. I don't know if it's that way for everybody, but that's where I came up with the title.
Would you describe that in terms of the levels as going from
3 to 4.
but I mean, in terms of Ken's levels, as going from causal level to non-dual?
No.
No. Okay.
All right, but I would say non-dual to dual, again. And, yeah, okay, different meanings. But let me say about this, level 1 is non-dual. Level 2 is bringing in the dual again, because you have to have a relationship to submit, to surrender to. Level 3, again, is completely non-dual, completely impersonal. 1 is impersonal, 2 is very personal. 3 is impersonal. 4, again, is very personal. In fact, I remember Roshi getting really angry with me in '95. We were at Green Gulch for a month, all of us, and we each had to give a talk. And I gave a talk, and I remember after the talk, Roshi criticizing me and saying, your talk was much too personal, much too personal. And I shouted back, it's all personal. Well, I was stuck in 4. I mean, I was really stuck. It's all personal. How can you talk about it? I'd been stuck in 3 for so many lifetimes, so many years, that I couldn't see at this point how it wasn't all personal. And for so many years, it was all impersonal. I happened to meet my wife at that time, just after I kind of moved into the personal, but I wasn't there yet. And that made it difficult, because how do you be in a relationship where there's no personal? You know, she kept saying, you're empty, there's no self here, you know? And I was trying to bring back the personal, bring back the self, knowing that I'd been stuck. But it didn't come back so easily. So I don't know if that answers your question as best I can.
So would you say that sort of classic spiritual teacher's dilemma or mess where the teacher is in her great yes, that's being stuck in level 3.
Yeah.
So one other question. This falling from grace state is very easy to confuse with a dark night. So is that, it was
pretty dark.
It's pretty much that, it's pretty much that experience, right?
Yeah, it was pretty dark. Pretty dark. Also, in some ways, it was, I didn't tell you a story. You want to hear a kind of interesting story? It'll put me in my place. Anybody interested in a story? This is so far out that it's still unbelievable to me. So during this, it was just after, there were several nights, and we were in Holland at the Tiltenberg doing this retreat, that I basically just lost it as far as self goes, and I was like a puddle on the floor, have to get up each morning and sit and hold Doksan all day and so forth, and lead teachings and give teishos, and then at night lock myself back up. Well, the next week we're in Poland, and this is far out, and where's Siridas? He left. I wish he could clarify this for me, what happened. So I wish he was here. I'm sitting in my room, and two events happen over 2 night periods, or two different nights. I'm sitting there, and I'm visited by these 3 beings, okay? Deep Makyo, okay? And they were Trungpa Rinpoche, who I had a very close relationship with, and I consider him an uncle of mine in the Dharma. Kala Rinpoche, who started this whole mess in his room, where I was sleeping in his bed, and the Karmapa, who we had a connection way back when he did the Black Crown, and we made some kind of connection. The 3 of these, and you know, just call me insane, okay? Because I definitely am. These 3 beings visit me, and they say, you can ask 3 questions. Okay, all right, I can ask 3 questions. So I asked the first question. This is not the main part of the story. I'll get to that. I said, where do I come from? Now, in our Zen tradition, I would have answered that, don't know. But what came to me, what came up was, Om. All right. So where am I now? And what came to me was, Home. All right, far out. So where am I going? And they said, you dumb, you know what? You'll know when you get there. That went over like a lead balloon. But anyway. So the next night I'm sitting there in meditation, and these same 3 beings come, and Trungpa reaches down and grabs my crotch. And he transformed my yang energy to yin. And that was it. It's been 10 years, 11 years. And it shifted, and you know, I have no explanation for this. Again, something happened, and he just did this. It wasn't a, you know, like a real being. It was just some kind of Makyo, I don't know, some kind of being, and it transformed my energy. And when I left Europe, I got back to my chiropractor who I'd just seen before, and my chiropractor says, what happened to you? You left here as a very macho male, and you returned as a female. As a woman. I felt like a 17-year-old girl. You know, kind of not knowing her femininity, kind of growing into her womanhood, but totally at a loss. I felt like something had shifted in me, and I was a young woman. And so I immediately he told me to do this, I got into weightlifting again. He said, you got to get back into your body. Weird. Weird shit happens. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah.
Well, the symbolic meaning of the syllables is that the Om is symbolic of body.
A body.
Body.
Okay.
So where you came from was some sort of accumulation of karmic body.
Okay.
Where you were was home, yeah?
Yeah.
Which is a seed syllable for the Dharmakaya, or enlightened mind. Then the symbolic transmission of all 3 of these teachers that you were with, Karmapa, Kalu Rinpoche and Trungpa Rinpoche in terms of enlightened speech is a 16-year-old woman. Her name is Vajrayogini. The seed syllable.
So I had it off by a year.
The seed syllable would be ah. So, you know, he, by blessing your genital center, reoriented your yang energy into this, in that lineage, semi-wrathful feminine energy.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Just to open
Thank
an
you.
interpretation.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was weird. Weirdest thing that's ever happened to me.